is it a technology? A lot of people think about it as a technology. Well, there's a tracking system, and there's a display, and controllers, and things like that. But it's also a medium, right? And that's a very important distinction, because when you think of virtual reality as a medium, you realize that there's actually a whole language that comes along with it. Or maybe the language hasn't been invented yet. So let's talk about books as a medium. And here's a screenshot from a book. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this before. This small screenshot already tells you something, right? So this tells you, just by seeing that, you know that some section, some topic of the book has come to an end. You know that a new section of the book is about to get started, right? And so it's like, just by telling you that, it's giving you some indication that this is a separator in terms of the flow of what you've been reading so far. And then we have lots of these separators in writing, right? So we have books come in many volumes sometimes, right? And then those volumes may be broken up into chapters, and you may have paragraphs, you may have sentences and punctuation, and there's just so many different things. And a lot of it, you take it for granted, but if you study writing, as you study it, it's like you realize how important all of these things are to make sure that people don't get confused when they're reading your writing. And the reason that works is because books have a language, right? We know that when you see chapter 1, it means something. And everybody knows that it means that. So what about film, right? I mean, film is also a medium, and I won't pretend to be a film major or anything like that, because I really don't know that much about it. But what I can tell you is that, it took a while for the film industry to figure certain things out, right? So, I mean, the film industry, I think, started in the late 1800s, but it wasn't for like 10 or 20 years before they figured out the close-up, right? So just imagine, we're in this kind of, this nativity or something of VR, like it's just really starting to get its own. Now, what if it's going to take 10 or 20 years to come up with a VR equivalent of a close-up, right? To tell you that I want you to look at this person and focus on this person, and he's freaking me out because he's supposed to, right? So, I mean, that's kind of his goal, right? But then, you can also do it wrong, and I don't know if this video's going to play or not, but we'll find out. But Wayne's World was actually, let's see, maybe it's not. So here, you can also abuse it. And so they kind of did that. The audio doesn't really matter. They were yelling, "This screams close up." And I guess I could lip sync it, but it'd be kind of weird. So, the other thing too is, here's another video that I found, and I thought this one was kind of interesting. I mean, you watch a movie, and then something like that happens, and it just told you something, right? That's the equivalent in a movie of chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. It's telling you that there's a context switch over here. And then you're going to see something now that has nothing to do with what you were seeing earlier, right? And so, and there's like Wipeout playing in the background on this video. I will apologize for this video right now. But anyway, it gets the point across that I'm trying to make here, that this is part of the language of film, right? You see this, and maybe Star Wars is kind of a good example of how they hit you over the head with this, right? It just feels like this guy just picked up After Effects or whatever for the first time. Everyone! So, anyway. Video games is a medium too, right? And it's not just, another thing that we do, but it has its own language too. Maybe you don't realize it a lot of the time, but you may be playing a game and all of a sudden the screen becomes letterboxed, right? And that's telling you something. That's telling you it's time to put down the controller because you're going to watch a cutscene now, right? So it's like, you don't have to worry about the fact that, oh, my character's not moving, and it's like, yeah, you see those letterbox bars? That means your character's not moving. And so, then there's like some random comments in my slides. Who wrote these slides? So, anyway, another thing that kind of are ubiquitous in video games is little floating gold coins, right? You see a floating gold coin, and it's like, I should take this, right? And then you might see a crate, and it's like, I should smash this. And I don't know why this became a thing in video games, but it's like, oh, look, a box, I'm going to go break it. And it used to be like boxes and vases all the time. And it's like, do we really have vases in outer space? So I guess you can have different kinds of boxes, but every once in a while, someone will go and say, you know what, I'm actually going to break the rules over here. So here's a box that you're not going to break, right? This is a box that you can love. Has anyone played Portal? If you guys haven't, then you should just leave and play right now. Anyway, so you got the picture, PCs and tablets, and everything comes with its own language too. So briefly, I wanted to touch up on kind of interface and interaction, right? So here's a dialog box from my PC around at 6:15 this morning while I was working on my slides. So, we could see the file size. No, that's just the size of the shortcut. But you can actually realize what time I finished my slides. Yeah. Anyway, but there's a lot going on in the screen, right? So, I mean, first of all, we've got a title bar that's telling you something already, right? And then, we've got this little X on the right side that's also telling you something. And there's little icons, they mean something. And then here's a list view. That means a lot of different things. As a matter of fact, the list view has these columns, and you can sort by them, and we all know that now because we all know the language of Windows, right? So this is something that we just know. And, there's scroll bars, and there's kind of drop-downs, and there's, like, buttons, and, text fields. Well, okay, there's a whole lot of stuff, right? And so the thing is that I don't have to explain all of these things to you because you know them now, right? Maybe the first time you looked at a computer, you're like, what is this? But now you know how to use all of these things. And so we need a similar language for virtual reality. That's the whole point that I'm just trying to come across with. And, oh yeah, by the way, the fact that this is a window already means something. So here's like the wall of text slide, but I did a pretty good job of not putting too much text. But the thing is that computers they're useful for like just organizing kind of hierarchies of data, or you've got files or pictures or other things, right? But I mean, is a virtual world the same thing? Is it just going to be like I want to use my interface to go through a hierarchy of things? Or maybe I want to use my interface and this language to be able to change places or to change times and situations and a whole bunch of other things. I'm not sure. So one thing that I think we're still working on is like, well, getting around the VR. So this guy's like, well, how about we go somewhere? And it's like, actually, I'm kind of stuck in this square over here, so we can't do that. And so that was one of the first problems a lot of people were tackling. And teleportation is the big thing. So this game is called Budget Cuts, and you can see kind of on the left, he's got this controller, and it's pointing somewhere, and if he clicks a button, it's going to take it there, right? But this is one way of doing it. There are many other ways, and I didn't really want to get into that much detail for this particular talk. But if you guys want to find out a little bit more about that, I'd be happy to talk to you guys later. There's also lots of resources online where you can find out how to navigate in VR. But if we think of teleportation or navigation itself as a problem, think about what it is you want to do in VR. It's like, well, where do I want to go? And where do I want to be facing when I get there? Because if I just teleport from here to over there, will I still be facing in this direction? And, is that what I want to be doing? Maybe I want to be facing the exit and get the hell out of here as fast as I can because I don't know what I'm talking about. But, how fast do I want to get there? How do I know once I get there? Especially if it's instant teleport. It's like, I turn around and say, wait, where did I come from? I didn't want to come here. It's like, how do I get back? And then it's like, if I don't realize that there's no hints to like, tell me where I came from, it's really, really hard to turn around. So this instant teleportation is also a problem, right? So one way I solved it is when I teleported from one place to another, I put little footsteps along the way, so you could actually trace the footsteps all the way back and be like, oh, that's where I came from. All right, so another topic I wanted to talk about briefly was, about telling a story, right? So one of the issues in VR is that you could be looking anywhere, and all of the action could have just happened on the screen over here because I heard some laughs from this direction. But I was looking at you guys, so I totally missed wait, there it is. So the question is, how do you draw people's attention and make sure that if there's something really important, they get to see it, right? Especially if you're a storyteller, right? It's like, I want you to see this right now. Now with video games, we would letterbox, take controls away from you, and it's like, you're going to see this because you're going to see this, right? But, there are other ways too. One example I'd love to use is A Christmas Carol, right? So in A Christmas Carol, like Scrooge was going back in time, he was in the present, he was in the future, but he had a guide with him. It was like the ghost of Christmas past or future or present, and he's like, observe this, right? So this guy is like telling him, look at this right now. And then there's this play called Sleep No More over here, which it's in New York. If you guys get a chance to see, you should totally see it. So it's in a 5-story hotel. It's a fake hotel, but there's tons of stuff going on. And all the people wearing the mask are actually in the audience. So you wear a mask, you're not allowed to speak. Anyone not wearing a mask is actually part of the cast, right? And you get to walk around and explore things as much as you want. The thing about that is they took a 5-story building and they filled it with content, and you're only going to get to see a little bit of it because you're not going to be there the whole time. But the cool thing is you can go back and go back and go back and see different things each time. So there's a lot of replayability in this play. So then one more topic I wanted to bring up basically was like socializing. So I talked about Summer Lesson. That's an image from Summer Lesson on the left. And then, the image on the right is kind of another social experience that we've got on PlayStation VR. And that and the NASA demo that I was telling you about that was multi-user, a lot of the really, really great experiences that I've had in VR so far were with other people. And as soon as I know where your head's facing, and as soon as I see your hands, you can start making hand gestures and waving, doing all sorts of things. And it just connects in such a way that like no one with awesome content could ever do. So, one of the things that we're looking at Magic Lab is we're trying to research what would it take to create a character, and the character could be a robot, it could be a person, it could be a dog, or whatever, and really give you the sensation that this character's alive, right? Even if it's just a dog that doesn't really respond to you in many, many different ways. Can we do, what are the required things to make sure that you feel that this thing is alive? If we can answer that, right, and it turns out that maybe its eyes are behaving properly, it looks like it's breathing naturally, it moves naturally, we can answer that for something like that, which is kind of an AI. Then we know what sort of things we need to capture from a human being so that when we play the human being in VR, like a real person, they also look the same. So if it turns out that the eyes are very, very important, we either need to capture where people's eyes are looking, or we need to do a really, really good job of guessing where the eyes are looking, so that when you're playing against a friend, their eyes are always looking in the right way, and it feels like they're real people. So, I guess the other thing too is what I'd like to kind of pose as an open problem is like there's so many different things that you could explore in VR. I don't know how many of you guys had this moment where it's like, what do you want to do? I don't know. So with VR, there's just so many opportunities right now. I think the space has not been explored very much. And all I want to say is, figure out something interesting to do and go ahead and do it. Make sure you aim really, really high and don't miss. Right? And just to drive this point home, this is the holodeck, right? I don't know how many of you guys know about the holodeck, and everyone's like, this is the Holy Grail of VR. And I'm like, this is not the Holy Grail of VR. Because there's an ordinary person walking into a very, very interesting place, and he's still an ordinary person. And you go back and you watch a whole lot of Star Trek video, like movies or episodes, whatever, and they walk into the holodeck, all of these really cool scenarios, but there's still the same boring people, right? And it's like, well, I don't want to be the same boring person, I want to be able to stop bullets, for example, right? I mean, that's pretty cool. Even when you play something like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, which is really kind of grounded in a real-life sport, he gets to go and he pulls air like you could never do in the real world. He spins like 1 billion times like you could never do in the real world. He's got superpowers, right? He's not just a boring person in a skate park. Bending spoons would be kind of cool too, I guess. And so, I guess this is kind of what I have as my closing slide over here. It's like, when you want to think about it, the holodeck is not good enough, right? We want it to look as cool. The holodeck is awesome for virtual tourism, to take you to places, to put you in situations with others that you've never been in before, or maybe places that you've been before and you've loved so much and you want to be able to revisit time and time and time again. But let's not forget about giving us some superpowers and actually making this an entertaining experience as well. And with that, I'm done. Thank you very much. Are there any questions? Sure.
So you talk about VR as a medium. Right?
Yeah.
So like from maybe moving from book to TV, for example, we were able to visualize things, right?
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering, moving from TV to VR, as it is, right? You are moving from a rectangular window to a 360-degree window.
Yeah.
But it's still visual, right? You can still kind of see the same thing as it was in TV, but just feel it's more real. But just wonder, as a medium, what do you feel are the more revolutionary aspects of VR that you can never get from the other traditional mediums? Would that come more from another sensation, like touching or smelling, rather than visualization?
Sure.
Or, yeah.
So your question then is, it's like, okay, well, the transition from a book to a TV screen is kind of like, well, now I can visualize things. But from a TV to VR, where I'm going from a two-dimensional medium to a three-dimensional world, what is the leap and what does it enable me to do that I couldn't do before? So, I guess from my perspective, one of the things that it does, first of all, I can change scale in ways that I could never do on a TV, right? So I could become a giant, and I could not trivially do that. Maybe I could do that with remote control, but it's a little bit difficult. I think managing spaces and really understanding the relationship of objects is so much better when you just move your head around them, right? I mean, mean, there's so much going on just in parallax, just in being able to move your head and seeing how something that's very close to you moves a lot, something that's distant moves a lot less. So I think giving you the sensation of being able to judge the relative position of things and relative kind of like the size and scope of things, I think is very interesting. The other thing that I can't trivially do in the by looking at TV is I can't look behind me, and I also can't get rid of the outside world. So I enjoy actually using VR a lot in airplanes. I'm that guy, actually. People are like, so you're that guy? I'm like, yes, I am. And so, I mean, one of the things about it is, it's like, yes, I am that guy. I put on my VR headset. I'm watching a movie. The plane disappears. I've got noise-canceling headphones. The noise from the airplane disappears. And the fact that the guy sitting next to me is like, well, you're that guy. I'm like, I don't care because he disappears too. And so it's like, this whole thing, it's just, I think there are a lot of things there. And if you haven't tried like any kind of VR experience where you can use your hands in there and reach in and touch something, you should totally try that, because I mean that is a game changer too. Yeah.
So I feel like one of the biggest challenges to VR is the fact that it's still too expensive for like everyday use for the mass market, and I guess PSVR is a huge step in that direction.
Yeah.
Do you think that?
Should I go back to the "Oh my fucking god" slide? I'm really excited about it.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But so what do you think is the next step in, I guess, making VR cheaper and more accessible to more people?
I see. Well, I mean, it's interesting because there's a couple of things I think that go into cheaper and more accessible, right? First of all is figuring out, one of them is very trivial. The more that you sell of something, the cheaper you can make it, right? So there's economies of scale. But then in terms of making it more accessible, I think where that comes in is more about compromises. And so as really awesome like VR experiences emerge, we're going to figure out exactly which elements of our VR systems are critical to making these experiences, which of them are superfluous, and then which things we want to put more investment and kind of reduce the price of, Because we might decide that for a VR headset, I don't know, maybe the display is the most expensive part and the most important part. So that's where all the R&D is going to go to work, right? And the thing is that there is this thing about the network effect. We're hoping that with as many PlayStation 4s as are out there and as many PSVRs as we're hoping to sell, that all of a sudden people are going to start showing their friends, and more and more people are going to be interested in this. And then with that, we're going to figure out what exactly it is, what is the core essence of virtual reality, and then we can help produce a system that's going to be more accessible at that point. Yeah.
You mentioned about some aspects of what makes virtual reality real, like the breathing, the eyes.
Yeah.
Can you speak a little bit